Hey, you got Keith here with AL13, and we're introducing our new batten system. Basically, it is a square or rectangular in various sizes. You can find all that on our website. Made to look like wood, aluminum extruded with a sublimated wood grain on it to make your walls look beautiful, just like our plank product and our panel system. So now we're going to cut into, and we're going to start showing you how to install these battens in a panelized way so that you're installing panels up on the wall. So right now we're just going to show you how this system gets installed. It's not like you may think that, you know, you get up on the wall and you just start putting these battens on and hope that you get that 9/16 gap right. Well, we've made it easy. We're always trying to make it easy for the installers. So what we've designed is a bracket basically that the battens will sit in between these little tabs. Okay, and then you see the holes there. That's your fastening points to the wall. So we've pre-drilled this to make it a bit quicker, but basically we're going to just get yourself a nice table. Battens come in a 12-foot length, okay? And like I said earlier, they also come in different dimensions. So 1 by 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 5. And then we also have a 2-inch, 2 by 2, 2 by 4, 2 by 6. And based on the type of batten that you order, you'll have a bracket that corresponds with that. The spacing between the brackets are basically 6 feet. But go to the install guide and we'll reference how far apart, what your max distance between each bracket will be on the battens, okay? So we'll just start here. We're just gonna line everything up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and install the first one, because if you try and line it up perfectly, you're going to sit there and fumble all the time. So I'm just going to, let's install that first batten. Now this is a 9/16 hex bit with a number 10 hex head, okay? And these are our screws, so make sure you order the right screws for the application. It's all on our website. Our territory managers or dealers will help you with all that information, okay? Just putting in that last one on this end here. And again, you know, we measured exactly. We cut all these just with your standard tools, standard chop saw with a non-ferrous blade, just like our plank system components and plank system and panel system components. Nothing changes here. The only difference with this system compared to our other two systems is there's way less parts. We don't have the end frames. We don't have all those other components along with it. We've still established a rain screen distance away from the wall. We'll get into that a little bit later, but just make sure you're cutting them all perfectly. There's different various ways that you can do that by putting stops on your chop saws, so you make sure you're always getting the right distance. So now I've measured that distance away, that preference that we talked about, and I'm going to start doing the second bracket. So these screws are tech screws. You don't have to pre-drill. I find that pre-drilling just makes it a little quicker. So we've now installed a panel, and this panel is 1 foot by, I believe we're 8 feet for this wall that we're detailing here, and we're ready to install this on a wall. And then you're left with a nice light, I'd say this is probably 30 pounds, but if you can reference your guide to see how much weight this is. It's not very low. I'm not very strong, so you know, it's pretty easy. So I'm just going to place it here because we don't want to start with a panel. I've got an outside corner here, and we're going to start with the outside corner because the outside corner is a single piece. It is not set up on a panelized system, and that's so that we hide the bracket. We wanted to make sure we got rid of the bracket so you couldn't see it on any angle of this outside corner. So this outside corner they're a single piece. They get installed on the bracket themselves. You can see how it's very conveniently designed. These holes are offset so that your screws don't hit each other when you're in the wall. And then these screws on the actual bracket are offset as well for that exact purpose. So well engineered, and ready to be put on the wall. So now we're going to start. What we've done, we've set a base here so that it makes it easy for us to know exactly where we want to stop. This could be something like a flashing at the bottom of your wall for reference, a chalk line, use a laser level, whatever makes it easy for you to make sure that you've got a nice bottom course. For this purpose, we just put a 2x4 on here, which works perfect too. So we're going to start screwing in here. Okay, so now we've got our outside corner in place. Now what we do is this is the one little tricky part. We want to make sure that we are 9/16 because that's the gap we're using on this particular wall design. So the 9/16 gap is what we've chosen. There are 2-inch gaps. There's a for the 2x2. There's a 1-inch gap as well for the 1x1, which we think will be more of a ceiling situation, but it's really entirely up to what the architect has specified or what the homeowner or yourself have decided to go with. There is really no special way to do this. So cleverly enough, this panel, you see there's a little tab here. So that tab is designed so when it hits another bracket, you've got the exact same spacing between that you have on your panel, you're going to have between your panels when you install panel to panel. So the way this works here and the way John Tan, our engineers, designed this, it actually hits the hex head just perfectly enough that you get a 9/16 gap there. So there you go. Good job. Okay, so the beauty of this design, again, it was designed, we could have went a little narrower, but then you wouldn't get your bit inside there, okay? So it's really important. This is the smallest gap that we can perform. We always recommend to make sure you use an extended bit. If you don't use an extended bit, you're gonna end up scratching the paint or the sublimation off of that. So that's our first panel. How fast was that? Probably 5 minutes. Super easy. Obviously we had to prep the wall and do all those details that you would normally do on an exterior situation. The other thing, guys, this can be used in an interior line. I've seen this in office buildings and houses beside beds and just little details, super nice. One thing I did want to talk about, a WRB can be purchased in black. It's not always white with Tyvek or writing all over it. There's also exterior insulation made by Rockwool that is black as well, made for products like this that have open rain screen cavities, okay? So this is an open rain screen where what that means is basically all our horizontal brackets are touching 20% of the time at any given moment, 10 mil away from the wall. So that is a key for a rain screen. Obviously lots of airflow because it is open. So the WRB has to be designed for that. But just go to your local suppliers and or city, they will give you the recommendation for your area depending on where you're installing. So next we're going to start with our second panel. We've got some panels pre-made here, so we just keep it simple here, but again, just follow the first steps that we did and go to the next panel, build that panel, go to the next panel, build that panel, and so on and so forth, and you'll end up with a wall that you'll see in about 10 minutes. We'll have it all up on the wall. So we've got 3 panels on right now. We're getting to our 4th, and we'll probably have a 5th one here, and then we'll do an inside corner. So we got 1, 2, yeah, we should have enough here to show you how that inside corner works out. And remember, there's the little tabs on each end of each bracket that gives you that spacing. This is, you can't tell where the panels are, can you? That's the beauty. So the panel actually is right here. This is a panel right here, and then there's another panel like right here. So you can see everything disappears, brilliantly designed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to measure this inside corner because we're going to have to cut the bracket so that it fits an inside corner, because you're never going to end up with perfect 1-foot wall panels. It's just not going to happen. Wish we could, but you know, that's wishful thinking, right? So it looks like we've got 11 inches for the panel on this one, but I want everybody to keep in mind that we've got 2 inches to play here, because if you measure from the back of the tab that sits against the wall to the face, we've got exactly we've got 2 inches, okay? So what does that mean? Well, let's say we were coming this way. So I could basically shift this over 2 inches to accommodate a nice inside corner without leaving too much of a gap or closing it off too much. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're just going to quickly, the other beauty about these brackets is they can be cut down so that you can, in increments, so that you can install in that scenario. So we've got our cut panel. Obviously it's not 1 foot. We're about 2 inches shy of 1 foot. I think we're like 9.5 inches. So that gives us a little bit of wiggle room for our next piece, which is going to be our inside corner coming in and making a really nice, beautiful fit. And for this section of wall, that's all you got to do. So now let's do the next piece to go into that inside corner, and we'll be done on this wall section. We'll jump to that ceiling section. With the inside corner, as you can see, we've built the panel. We've pre-built this panel, and we're just going to set it down on our baseline there, and we're gonna, we're gonna measure out a 9/16 gap there, and just so that it looks uniform. You could even slide it in behind if you wanted to create a tighter gap. It's entirely up to how you want that look to. I personally want that to have that 9/16 look there, so we're gonna set it exactly like that. If you're doing an interior wall, you don't need to use hex heads. You can use Phillips drywall screws. That would be great. You might want to make sure that you find out where your studs are, so you're hitting some studs at least, or use special anchors, pull-out anchors. They sell them at Home Depot or wherever you want to buy them, or your building supplier store. They're rated for each package that you buy. It'll tell you how many pounds of pull-out it will hold. So just make sure you're referencing and doing it right, so you don't hurt somebody or yourself. And that's all you got to do. Thank you very much for watching this video. Tune into the other video where we do some ceiling batten system installations. And that's all you got to do. Subscribe.